Hiya! I'm on a bit earlier today as I'm off to London with the family. We're going to do some sightseeing, and as exciting as that sounds, dragging two children around London also fills me with a slight amount of dread. So wish me luck. But I wanted to carry on with the series that we're doing about talking about the benefits of mindfulness. And today's is about anger management. Anger's a funny old thing, isn't it? And I'm sure at times we've all struggled with our anger, or sometimes it's not even anger, is it? It's just like frustrations are building up and bubbling over, and it can be different things can trigger it, can't it? Really. So for me, I tend to have a little bit of road rage. That's one thing that often gets me, and my daughter seems to absolutely know every single button, even buttons that I don't know exist, in order to send me from calm to crazy. And I guess I wanted to talk about how mindfulness has changed my relationship with anger. So the best way to sort of explain this, I think, is to talk about an example. So there was a few weeks ago, things were just bugging me, and I was built myself to the point when I was, letting it out. So I was sniping at the kids, snapping at my husband. I continued into my anger by starting to slam, kitchen doors and, throwing things back into drawers. It's one of those days, house is a mess and it feels like you're constantly cleaning up after everyone else and nobody's helping you, and woe me, poor me, having to do everything. As I was marching up the garden, my husband shouted out to me saying, perhaps you need to do a bit of mindfulness. Bearing in mind, my family love nothing more than to take the mickey out of me for doing mindfulness. Even though they too see the benefits, they do like to have a joke about it. So I was stropping up the garden, listening to my husband shouting, "You should do some mindfulness, Emma." To which I responded with a symbol of love and affection that is done with two of my fingers. And then I copped onto myself, basically. The mention of mindfulness reminded me that I have tools that I can work with that can mean that this anger doesn't have to continue, and it doesn't have to escalate to be more than it is. So while I was in the shed, yes, I was in the garden shed, ferrying around for something, I thought about the frustrations that had got me to this point and the anger that I was feeling, and it took some time just to reconnect, notice how it was feeling in my body. My tummy was sort of churned up and I was really tense, frowning, making my frown line even worse than it is, believe it or not. That's years of not doing mindfulness. I don't know how I'm ever going to get rid of it, to be honest. Botox, I think, is the only way. Anyway, so I took a moment to sort of connect with my body and to connect with what had been happening to me. And then I had a bit of a giggle at myself because I was able to do that. And then did I come out of the shed and stop being angry and stop being shouty? No, I didn't. And the reason I didn't was because I almost decided in the shed at that moment that I'd felt so frustrated with so many things that I needed to blow off a bit of steam. So I returned to the house and told my husband that I had mindfully decided that I was going to be angry for a little bit longer. And so I, not no longer took it out on everybody else in the house, but I still banged around a little bit, and I still stropped around a bit and flapped in and out of the house and flopped around, wallowing in my frustrations and anger. But the difference is that I didn't wallow for long. I didn't take it out on anyone else. I made a conscious decision that I was going to allow my emotions out and allow myself to feel the way I felt, and informing people around me that this was the way I felt and this is what I was going to be doing for a little while. So they could all just nod and kind of, okay, get on with their own things while I had my little moment, I guess. So mindfulness doesn't necessarily stop you from feeling angry, as I think we see a pattern as I've been talking about the benefits. Mindfulness doesn't stop anything. Mindfulness doesn't change the world around us or stop us from getting frustrated or stop us from feeling stressed, but it just gives you choice and options. So although at that particular moment I chose to still be a little bit ratty, it was a choice. The anger didn't take over me. I didn't smash up the place or scream at everyone. Same with my road rage. It's not like I jump out of the car and go chasing some car down the street or ram my car into them. I can have a moment of anger and frustration, recognise it's here, and decide what I do with it. And so for me, that's been a great benefit of mindfulness. And I'm sure that there's many of us out there who could do with having that little bit of space before we react, and before we react, especially with anger, and enable us to take a moment, connect with ourselves, and decide that maybe I want to do want to be a bit angry at this moment in time, or maybe not. Anyway, I'm hoping I'm going to have a nice weekend. I'm sure I will, and I hope you guys do too. Bye bye. Take care.